Physical media man, physical media man, physical media man. What'd you buy? Was it something good?
What's up, guys? Joe, Physical Media Man, back here again for another Physical Media Man Monday video. I got the month of May's monthly movie reviews for you guys. We watched a lot of titles. So before I get started, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, leave feedback, do all that good stuff down below. I'll leave the links to my Instagram page, my Physical Media Man Store Instagram page, my Facebook page for the Physical Media Man / Physical Media Man Store, my Facebook page for non-media related items, the Hodgepodge Garage, my email, my eBay, my Twitter, my Letterboxd account, and my Film Aficionado account, where you can follow on with my collection, which is not yet up to date, as well as my wish list of movies I'm after. Okay, so first up, we started off with Point Break. Great movie. My wife had never seen it. I really enjoyed this one. I need to upgrade to Blu Ray at some point, but great cast. We got Patrick Swayze, who's a surfer, and Keanu Reeves, who's trying to be an undercover cop, and then Gary Busey is his partner in this one. I won't go into too much detail on it in case you haven't seen it, but it's a heist type of robbery movie, and one of the better ones. Really enjoy this one. Giving it a B+. If for some reason you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. So, great movie. Next up, on May 4th, we watched Fanboys, another one my wife hadn't seen. Very good movie it's a comedy about a group of friends, and one of the friends kind of has gone away from the group for a few years, and but they were all Star Wars fans, and one of the friends doesn't have too much longer to live, and the new Star Wars movie's coming out, so they try to do this crazy plan to get to Skywalker Ranch and somehow watch a copy or watch it before it comes out and before he passes away. So very funny movie. Great supporting cast: Jay Baruchel, Dan Fogler, however you say that, Sam Huntington, and Kristen Bell's pretty funny in it. A cameo appearance by William Shatner. But I definitely recommend this one if you haven't seen it. I'm going to give it a B. Next up, I watched a A24 film. This is Green Room. I think I might get rid of this, actually. A lot of people really enjoy this movie. It's about a band. They go to perform this show, and they witness something they weren't supposed to witness. And when they have their show, they're playing in front of a group of neo-Nazis or white supremacists or crazy people, and so they see something after the show that they weren't supposed to see, so this group of people try to not let him leave. Patrick Stewart is very good in this, and this is also, if not, one of the last movies with Anton Yelchin, who's also very good in it. I did have this version with the slipcover. So I think I might be trying to get rid of this. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a B-. I don't know. I didn't like it as much as I was hoping. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I don't really care to watch it again. So that's my reasoning. But I mean, I didn't dislike the movie. So next up, we watched Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee. This was right before, I believe, the Twilight Time sale, I think they had already started their sale, but they hadn't announced that they were going out of business, and then the prices were going to be even better. But I wanted to watch it and see if it was worth upgrading. So I had already seen, which I definitely recommend, The Crow. Very good film, his last film, and then also Showdown in Little Tokyo with him and Dolph Lundgren. That, as well as this, they aren't great movies by any means, but they're very enjoyable, and I'm definitely happy to have them both in my collection. So I don't really know. I'll just read this one. He's a college student. And he's pursued by smugglers, mobsters, and crooked federal agents after he witnesses a murder by a mafia kingpin. When the witness protection program fails him, he has to protect himself with his only weapons, his hands. Determined to survive, he takes on Chicago's warring drug lords with the assistance of a renegade cop, played by Powers Booth, and his beautiful partner, Kate Hodge. So yeah, I'm giving it a C, but I really enjoyed it, and I upgraded to the Twilight Time, which I haven't gotten yet. But once I get that, I'll be getting rid of this DVD, so if you're interested in that, let me know. Next up, I watched a wrestling documentary. This is 20 Years Too Soon, superstar Billy Graham's story. I knew nothing about him going in, which I think makes the best documentaries anyways, in my opinion. So I'm giving this one a B+. I found it interesting. He really put his mark on the business, and Hulk Hogan wouldn't have been what he was, and a lot of other people. They took a lot of things that he did. He was definitely ahead of his time, as the documentary is called. I was also kind of blown away at how much Vince McMahon likes him, especially after some of the things that he did to the business after leaving. Was kind of surprising to me with the way he holds grudges, but he seems very fond of superstar Billy Graham, and I definitely recommend this one, especially if you didn't know anything about him. So next up, we watched one of my favorite movies. This is The Usual Suspects. It's got a great cast. Stephen Baldwin, Gabrielle Bryan, Chaz Palminteri. Butchering all these names. But anyways, there's the cast. You would recognize them from a lot of things. And they're not like big A-listers, but together as one, they're really good. And this is directed by Bryan Singer. So they're a group of criminals that are accused of the same crime, and they're entangled in the merciless scheme of an unseen underworld kingpin. So the movie just kind of interviews the different people and kind of shows what happens, and you don't know who did it or anything like that. It's kind of hard to explain without ruining anything, but I'm going to give it an A+. After that, we watched, or the next night, we watched two movies. The first one was Jojo Rabbit, which was a really good film. My buddy had it, so I don't have a copy to show you guys, but it's about this boy during the time that Germany and Adolf Hitler were at war, and the kid idolized Hitler, and he sees him as like a imaginary friend, basically, and talks to him, and he wants to be a Nazi, and then come to find out that his mother has a Jewish girl living in their house. So that kind of is the setup of the movie. Is very, very well done. I want to get a copy because I'm afraid for some reason that might be hard to get at some point. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I'm going to give it a B+, and I definitely recommend that one. And then that same night we watched White Lightning. This is a Kino Lorber release, a Burt Reynolds film, and it's a two-part. It's got a sequel, Gator, which we watched later, and I'll tell you about. This is kind of similar somewhat to Smokey and the Bandit. It's got the same type of feel. So he's a moonshine runner who's in prison, but his brother is killed, and he's offered to get out of jail if he helps the police figure it out and kind of do some other things. So I won't go into too much detail other than that, but if you like Smokey and the Bandit and you like Burt Reynolds, I definitely recommend this one. Very happy to have this Kino release in my collection. It did actually have a special feature of Burt Reynolds' Back to the Bayou Part 1, which was really good. It was pretty short, only 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 10 at the most, and he just talked about different people that were in this film, and it was very funny and very good. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you have this release, and I definitely recommend checking this out if you can. I'm going to give it a B. Next up, I watched MVD Rewind release of Showdown. I actually also watched all the special features on this, which were great. So this is kind of like a ripoff of Karate Kid, which they even acknowledge somewhat in the special features. But it stars Ken Marks, which is him, and he's new to a school, and he talks to this girl, and there's basically like a Cobra Kai type of martial arts group that try to beat him up multiple times. And Billy Blanks, the famous Taibu, he did all those martial arts videos. He's the janitor, and he helps him kind of learn martial arts and try to take these bullies down. So it's basically a cheesy R-rated version of Karate Kid. I definitely am happy to have it in the collection, actually, and definitely enjoy the special features. I'm trying to get all these MVD Rewind releases if they drop in price. I think I only paid about 10 or 12 for this one. But now it seems like they've just kind of stagnated at the $20 range. I'm going to give it a C-, but I enjoyed it. Next up, I watched another. So I watched that by myself, watched this one by myself as well. This is Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. This is another very good documentary. I knew quite a bit about Ric Flair, but not about the rest of the group, and I didn't realize how many other people, or how many people left and how many new people joined the group. I mean, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson were the main guys throughout. And I think one of the other ones maybe, for the most part. But then other people joined and people left, but the original group, they were something special. I definitely recommend this one, especially if you don't know anything about the Four Horsemen. So I'm giving it a B. Yeah, a B. I know I give a lot of B's, but it's hard to give more than that unless I think it's a really, really, really good. So, alright, losing my spot here. Next up, we watched Edge of 17 with Woody Harrelson, Haley Steinfeld, and Kyra Sedgwick. So, it's a very funny coming-of-age story. Woody Harrelson's a teacher, and Haley Steinfeld, she recently lost her father, who was really close with her, and she's afraid she's going to lose her friend too, and she's not the most outgoing and things like that, and she just doesn't know what to do. So it's kind of a coming of age story from there. I definitely enjoyed it, giving it a B, holding on to that one. And next up, we watched Liam Neeson and The Commuter. This wasn't very good. Gonna give it a C. I'm almost tempted to try to sell it if I can get anything decent out of it, maybe get it later. I have a Liam Neeson collection though, which kind of makes me not want to get rid of it, but so he's confronted by a mysterious stranger. He must race against time to uncover the identity of a passenger on his train as he's swept into a conspiracy with life and death stakes for himself and his fellow passengers. So, I don't know. I thought it was going to be better, and it just wasn't that good. Next up, we watched Grosse Pointe Blank with John Cusack, Minnie Driver, Alan Arkin, and Dan Aykroyd. It's about, John Cusack and Minnie Driver used to date. They have their 10-year high school reunion, and it's the first time that he's been back to his hometown, and he's an assassin. So it's kind of funny in parts. Definitely enjoyed this one. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to give it a B. Next up, I watched another wrestling documentary. This is Brian Pillman, Loose Cannon, and it's the Brian Pillman story. This one I'm giving a B-. It's unfortunate that his career didn't last longer. So it's kind of, you wish it was longer, you wish there was more to it than what it was. Brian's son, Brian Pillman Jr., actually liked my post. But, I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't really know anything about him. It was interesting. It just, there wasn't enough to make it better than a B- for me. Next up, we watched number 1 in the Paramount Presents series, Fatal Attraction, and this is about 2 coworkers or acquaintances from work that have a one-night stand. Michael Douglas is married, and Glenn Close is not married, and she becomes crazy. Basically, she is really good in this film. It's somewhat similar to Disclosure, but somewhat different. It seems like Michael Douglas kind of had a string of these type of movies during this time period. But it is a very well-made film. Great performances, especially by her. Gonna give it a B. And I want to get all these Paramount Presents releases. They're pretty neat. So far I have this one in Flashdance, and the other ones aren't seeming to drop in price. Next up, we watched Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And I got the Target exclusive artwork. I thought that was really neat. I got this the week it came out. Don't usually do that type of thing, but I usually I'm not able to get to a Target or Target or Best Buy when these things are still available. So it's just basically about Harley Quinn breaking up with the Joker and going her own way and trying to figure things out. I'm giving it a C+. I enjoyed it. It's not the best movie, but it's one of the better DC Universe films. And Margot Robbie's just so good in these as playing that character. She's perfect for that role, and so yeah. Next up that night, we watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I actually fell asleep during this one. I really enjoyed it though. Just got tired. So Scott Pilgrim's in a band. He finds a girl of his dreams, it says, and then in order for them to date, he must defeat her 7 evil exes. So this is a Edgar Wright movie, which he does a very good job directing, and his movies just have that different feel. I really enjoyed it, giving it a B, and just a different movie. I didn't know what to expect, and it definitely, I thought it was better than I was expecting it to be. Alright, next up we got The Spectacular Now with Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley. So Sutter Keeley is a high school kid with effortless charm and the self-proclaimed life of the party, is having the perfect senior year until he loses both his girlfriend and his part-time job. But when he meets Amy, played by Shailene Woodley, the nice girl next door, an unlikely romance begins as Sutter and Amy struggle to overcome their differences and help each other through the many challenges of growing up. Also has Bob Odenkirk, Kyle Chandler, and a couple other people in the supporting, Jennifer Jason Leigh in the supporting cast. This is another A24 film. I'm going to be selling this. I did not like it. I'm giving it a C. I was expecting more out of it. I thought it wasn't very believable that the dude just drinks like constantly, like in high school. He's got his flask and no one seems to care or notice. I don't know. I just didn't care for that one. Next up, we watched The Fate of the Furious. This is the 8th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise. It just takes off where the last one kind of left off. There's some time in between, and something happens. I won't go into too much detail. It's just, I mean, I gave it a C+. I didn't think it was as over the top as I was expecting. Maybe that's why I'm being generous with the grade. I might try to do a ranking of these films because I feel like they're kind of all over the board in my opinion. But this one wasn't too bad. I thought it was better than the 7th at least. So. Oh yeah, I don't know if you noticed, we had a poster fall. So, and for some reason Walmart is continuously out of stock of them. So I got one because I actually had 2 fall. So the rest are still okay, and I'm just going to put more. Unfortunately, we have wallpaper, so we didn't really want to nail or screw into the wall and hang them up that way. So they got the sticky stuff on the back. So anyways, right there, we got the Majestic, and after we hung that up, she hadn't watched it, so we had to watch it. So it's about a director, I believe, a screenwriter, sorry. And this is kind of during the yeah, so his memory's blanked by an auto accident, and he's mistaken by the citizens to be a long-lost war hero. So, very good film. I won't talk about it too much. It's got funny parts, but it's more serious than some of the Jim Carrey movies. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. I'm giving it an A. Next up on on Hulu, we watched I, Tonya. Margot Robbie again playing Tonya Harding. Such a good movie. If you like sports, I definitely recommend it. I also need to go back and watch the 30 for 30 on that kind of whole thing with Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. Really good movie. Margot Robbie does a great job playing Tonya Harding, so I definitely recommend that one. If you haven't seen it, I'm giving it an A-. And then we watched Gator, the sequel to White Lightning, starring Burt Reynolds. This also has a Kino release, which I want to upgrade to, even though I'm giving this one a C. I was very disappointed with this sequel. I'm not even going to tell you about it. After watching White Lightning and then watching this, I was so disappointed. I thought it was going to be so much better, and it just did not deliver. Then we watched The Grand Seduction with Brendan Gleeson and Taylor Kitsch. I got this one sent over in a trade with Collecting with Hammer, sorry. Really enjoyed this one. So it's about this small town that's trying to get a factory in their town, but in order to do so, they have to have a doctor. And Taylor Kitsch is that doctor that they're hoping for. So they try to seduce him into staying in their town in order to get this new factory. So really enjoyed this one. I haven't watched too many Dollar Tree movies that I've gotten the last couple of years. This was one of them, and I'm really happy to have it, especially if, I guess we just traded, so I mean $1. Definitely enjoyed it. Next up, we got another one for sale. We got True Heart with Zachary Ty Bryan from Home Improvement. It's also got Kirsten Dunst, and then August Schellenberg, who was also in Free Willy, and he's really good in that. And it just seemed weird the way, I mean, not weird, I guess, the way he acted, but I just thought they could have changed some things in his character to make it better. Also, the villains in this character, their acting was not good at all, in my opinion, and some of it just wasn't very believable. You might like this if you watched it growing up, but I didn't, so this was a first time watch for me, so I'm definitely going to be getting rid of it. I'm going to give it a C-. Then we watched True Story with James Franco, Jonah Hill, Felicity Jones, about a disgraced old New York Times writer played by Jonah Hill and a convicted murderer of his own family, James Franco. And James Franco gives Jonah Hill access to him prior to trial and things of that nature. Pretty good film. Probably still going to get rid of it. Might try to get the Blu Ray if I can get it for a good price, but I'm going to give it a B. Next up, we watched Red Heat with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Belushi, Jim. This one is about Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is in Russia, and he's a detective, and one of the criminals flees to the United States, so he has to go over there and try to bring him back. And he's in Chicago, so he teams up with Jim Belushi to try to figure everything out and bring him back. So this is a 4K. I had already seen this, had the DVD, which is for sale if you're interested. Definitely worth the upgrade, in my opinion. Also, all the special features came over, which is neat, and I watched all those, and they were also very good. Probably not as good as some of the other special features I watched this last month, but this is a good one. I definitely recommend it, and it's around $15 right now on 4K, which seems like a good deal. So he's more serious in this one. His acting's pretty good. He doesn't have as many lines as some of his other movies, and doesn't really have many one-liners. When he says cocaine in Russian's kind of funny. Cocaine them. But definitely recommend that one, especially if you're an Arnie fan. I would recommend upgrading, especially if you're like me and only had the DVD, didn't have the Blu-ray. So definitely enjoyed that one. Next up, we watched Tully. I always think I'm going to mess up her name. I probably will. Charlize Theron, I don't know, however you say her name. And she's a mother of 3 who's gifted a night nanny by her brother. Hesitant to the extravagance at first, she forms a unique bond with the thoughtful, unpredictable young nanny, Tully. And it also stars Mark Duplass and Ron Livingston, who I, for some reason, think they kind of look alike, but this was good. I like this one. Giving it a B. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. After we watched Red Heat, we watched The Fanatic on Amazon Prime, I think, with John Travolta. If you haven't, I definitely recommend watching Chris Stuckman's review of that movie. It was bad. Giving it an F. I thought it was going to be bad, but I thought there would be more parts to it that were enjoyable or at least laughable or something. I don't know. It is just all around bad. Giving it an F. So that's everything we watched for the month of May. So the highlights would be Point Break, 20 Years Later, the Superstar Billy Graham Story, The Usual Suspects, Jojo Rabbit, White Lightning, The Majestic, I, Tonya, Grand Seduction. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I took a break from doing these for a while, so still kind of working my way into get more used to doing these monthly movie reviews. If you have any suggestions or other things you want to see, let me know down below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is Physical Media Man signing off. Physical Media will never die.
Physical Media Man. Physical Media Man. Physical Media Man. Yeah!